Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad everyone's here. Please come up front, find a seat, and we'll get started. All right, welcome, everyone. My name is Dali, and I'm so glad to see everyone here. Today, we're going to be speaking about how to bring your most authentic worship every Sunday. Um, when you think of the word authentic, what things come to mind? You can shout it out. True. True. Okay. Accurate. Accurate. What else? What does authentic mean to you? Pure. Oh, I love these. Absolutely. So, again, my name is Dali. A little bit about me. I've been worshiping for quite a while, since maybe about 2010. And I've been a volunteer for a very long time at the Mount, and for the last year or so, been a campus worship team leader. So we lead worship at all the different campuses, and I'm my mom, I'm a wife, I work in IT, I do so many things, but every Sunday, typically, here, trying to bring my best to the Lord, and other things that I do, I play keys, but yeah, I need to get it together. And I write music. So I'm a songwriter as well. So I really wanted this to be an encouragement type of session as well. If you know me, that's one of my gifts I think the Lord has given me. But just a few reminders of why you're here, why you come every Sunday to give God your best, right? God has just given you this beautiful gift and talent for you to use for His glory, right, and His kingdom. So it's very important that you cultivate that gift, that you care for it, you nourish it. You rest and refuel when needed. Sometimes you just need a little bit of a break to recenter, refuel. And I have a couple of scriptures this morning. The first one is Luke 4:18. The Spirit of the Lord is on me because He has anointed me to proclaim the good news to the poor. He sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight to the blind, to set the oppressed free. So you have this gift. You've been anointed with this gift. How do we cultivate that and bring the Lord our very best? Another passage of scripture that I wanted to share comes from Matthew 9:35-38. You're one of His workers in a harvest field. When you think about leading worship, this is from Matthew. Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and healing every disease and sickness. When He saw the crowds, He had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then He said unto His disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. So you think about that. You're one of the few anointed leaders that He's, giving you this gift to proclaim. So ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into His harvest field. That's from Matthew 9:35-38. All right. So when it comes to authenticity, giving God your very best, preparation, it's a big, big thing. And you all know this as musicians. But not just the musical preparation, but the spiritual preparation, right? Being in the Word daily, praying for your team, praying for the church, praying for your leaders, praying for your community, right? There's a lot of other things as well. Making time and space to record yourself, which I will tell you, you are your worst own critic. You are your worst own critic, but you do need to, whether it's like a visual video or audio, when you're practicing, record it, play it back, see what you might want to adjust, and whether it's your tone, how you're phrasing things or you're taking your breaths and things like that. Make time to assess yourself. Ask your peers for feedbacks. Once in a while, we'll share, something with like Becca. Like, hey, Becca, how does this sound? What would you do differently? So, yeah, that is hard because you're your own worst critic, but that's something that you need to push yourself, get out of your comfort zone and grow. So it's important to do that. Obviously, of course, is practice with click tracks if you're playing with an instrument. I always prefer to play piano while I'm singing and rehearsing. And so that way he can, it just does something extra for you when you have that gift of being able to play an instrument and rehearsing. Otherwise, of course, with your church's click tracks, and different vocal, different instruments as well. So usually I will have keys pretty high right here because that's just my instrument of choice. But there are certain songs where I'd rather have guitar because there's specific, parts of the guitar there that gives me that extra energy to, just bring that out even more. So let's see. Of course, you got to know your songs well, and this is a given. Everybody in this room. Lyrics, melody, harmony, the dynamics of the song, the builds and transitions. One thing that I like to do is for a song that has like a nice instrumental, what am I going to do there? Am I going to pray in between there? Is the Spirit going to call me to pray, ad-lib, vocalize a little bit, just give a little bit extra in there. So that's really important when you're preparing. And even for the more difficult songs that have more dynamics and more instrumentals in there, to really plan what you're going to do with that space. And ask if you're not sure what you want to do in that space, ask a peer, ask your vocal director, and all that. So when you're confident and you're prepared, that leaves so much more room for God to do what He's going to do. So you're not worried about that. All right. So another thing is, and this kind of goes with one of the other slides, but reminding yourself that you're His vessel, right? You're one of those harvest workers in the fields, and it's not about perfection. It's not about your gift, right? But what you are doing with that gift, it's an offering to Jesus every Sunday. Let's think about that. You are offering God your very best. And you are shepherding a congregation and building that environment for the Spirit to move. So, just be reminded of that it's not about performance, it is an offering. The way you think about it, what helps me often is that every Sunday I'm in the throne room. Like that is you and Jesus. And you are just giving that offering back to Him. That's the most authentic thing that you can do on Sunday. The congregation will feel that. They're going to feel that energy, and so it can be also space to worship in their own way. Okay, so we talked a little bit about hearing yourself back. Admit your imperfections, and then don't be too hard on yourself. Which a lot of us are very hard on ourselves when we kind of mess up, which happens, right? It's okay. God does not want your perfection. He wants your heart. So that's why you got to prepare your heart for Sundays. It's you and Jesus. Give Him your heart. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want your performance. He doesn't want perfection. He doesn't expect perfection. The Spirit is going to lead you through worship. And just a reminder also that you being there, your yes is huge. You have no idea how God is going to open someone's heart through the worship you're leading. Sometimes you hear those stories back, right? You may hear from a worship director or a team member of how that song you led, or you affirmed that somebody worship said, how that impacted them on the Sunday. You never know how God is using that. So your yes matters. Okay. We talked about this a little bit, but as you're preparing, I am a very expressive worshiper. That's that's not to say that everyone is, right? Everyone worships a little bit differently. Some of us use our hands a lot. I'm one of those people who I just have to do something with my hands all the time. Um, Sometimes you have to kind of look at the deal, look at does this look right? Am I did I have like T-Rex arms? Or should I be more open? Um, be as expressive as you are, right? So be true to yourself, right? If the Spirit is calling you to kneel in reverence and bow down to the Lord while you're eating, do it, right? Don't do it because somebody else is doing that. Do what the Spirit is leading you to do, right? Because God is calling something in your heart at that very moment. If you want to ad-lib in that space, if you want to pray, that's something I'll do often as well is, whenever the Spirit has on my mind, Lord, I just pray out. So you can pray through those short prayer, sometimes in between, sometimes that stays in between one, song two, or any other song. You need to say a short prayer. Let's see. You could, like some of us are belters. Some of us will belt. Shaylee's laughing. Shaylee's one of the first ones I think of, where you would just like wail and belt and, sing and just worship, just off the cuff worship, because that's what God's placed on your heart at that very moment. That's the most authentic thing as well for me. Like I would laugh, right? Because Kim Walker-Smith does. Right? She does a little, right? But there's so many things that you can do. Take inspiration from artists that you like. One of my inspirations is Tasha Cobbs Leonard, because she goes into them. She has these little grunts in worship that is just, that's like her spirit, just like, begging. It's so, yeah, find what it is for you, right? Whether it's belting, wailing, praying, and stick to what is unique about you. All right. Prayer. This probably should have been the first step. The pray. Every Sunday you pray for your team. You pray that God use you, that you work successful, that God will just do what he is meant to do that very Sunday. And that he do something amazing in that room. Again, Sunday it is birthing the throne room, where you're leading the congregation. It's a privilege to be a worship leader and lead on that stage and pray. Cover your team with prayer. A little bit more engagement. So how do you engage, whether it's a congregation or your team alongside you? I'd like to sometimes take a look at BJ or Anthony or Shay and make eye contact and then have this just smile of happiness, right? You're in that moment, you're in spirit, and you're praising together as a team. So look at your team members, right? The congregation notices that as well. So that's something that I do. Again, be as expressive as you know how you worship. You don't have to worship like the person next to you, person behind you, right? Worship how you worship. And the congregation will relate to all the different styles of worship. Another thing is, of course, pray for your team, pray over your team. Check in on your team throughout the week, how they're doing in specific prayer requests. But continue to shepherd your team outside of Sunday. And then continue to hone and develop your skills. I've had 3 voice teachers and 2 different piano teachers. So all that just helps build your own individual style as you perform, as you prepare for worship. In the beginning, when I was worship, it's so easy to copy and mimic what the original artist does, because that's how you learn, right? Like you're just learning as it is, then you can build in your own style into it. But if you haven't had training, you'll tend to just kind of do what others do. So I always encourage anyone new to worship or you haven't maybe had that training in a while. So pick that up and help build up your own unique style that'll help with your vocal range. And also, if you play an instrument, look for an instrumentalist, a teacher to help you build that skill. We have several different people on the worship team that can help. If you have questions about that, you can reach out to me, to Becca, to Brett, or Lou, or anyone. Final encouragements. Develop your leadership skills, because yes, you're a worship leader, you're leading the congregation, but you're also leading off stage as well. Like Becca mentioned, it's not just about Sunday. In fact, Sunday is a very small part of being a worship leader, right? Cultivate those relationships with your team members, with your friends. Our church here, it's like a family. Like, I've told Becca and Lou and so many others, like, there's just so many times where I could have moved, and I got to not move because this is my family. Like, we do life together, and so continue to build those relationships off stage. Seek pastoral care when needed. Always lead with humility, right, and servanthood. It's, again, not about performance, but in helping others to worship the one. Let's see, what else? Develop your skills, care for your team. If you have any questions, communicate, ask questions before, a Sunday to make sure that you're squared away. Give feedback to your team. We do have a worship leader feedback form every Sunday where whenever we give feedback, and if there was anything that didn't go according to plan, or we had a technical challenge, we'll look at it in the form, we'll communicate what the fix was for anything. So build those feedback loops and give that feedback so you continue to get better. Of course, self-care. Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you have so many other things in life just overwhelming you. It's okay to take a step back. It's okay to take a break and replenish. So take some time to rest, and having that authenticity, bringing your very best to Sunday. Sometimes you do need to refill, right? And so you want to be that healthy eater, spiritually, emotionally, and physically.